Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, this is the official post-fight review for Sergey Kovalev versus Vyacheslav Shabranskyy. And look, I could sit here, I could be analytical, I could try to, break this fight down tactically, but there really ain't much to break down. Kovalev came into this fight, it was a fight where, like I've said, I don't think that Kovalev should have been for a title because at the time the fight was made, and I got to preface that, at the time the fight was made, Shabranskyy was not top 10 in the WBO rankings. And then he just magically appeared in the rankings to be number 10, so be in the top 10. So you know how boxing works. But the fight happened. Shabranskyy was coming off a couple wins against like Cans after losing to Sullivan Barrera to get his confidence up. He goes in there with a very, very focused, hungry, determined, bloodthirsty Sergey Kovalev, and you saw what was ultimately an utter destruction of Vyacheslav Shabranskyy. Kovalev, from the word go, you can clearly see there was a speed advantage. There was a just skill wise, he was on a whole other level from Shabranskyy, and he fought that way early and often, and he gets a second round stoppage. There really isn't much to say. I could sit here and say like, oh well, his punches, because I did say when I watched the fight, I did say to myself like, yeah, like his punches look like a lot faster. He looked like the 2014 version of himself. But at the same time, you can't really overreact to what he did, for the simple fact that the guy that he fought was tailor made for him. So although I'm a Kovalev fan and he's probably one of my favorite fighters in boxing, I'm not gonna overreact and be like, oh my god, he beat Shabranskyy. Like, okay, when you're Sergey Kovalev, you're supposed to do that to Shabranskyy. So he went in there and did what he was supposed to do. And he did a lot better than Sullivan Barrera did against Shabranskyy as well. Barrera got knocked down by Shabranskyy. And Kovalev dispatched him quite easily, like a guy at his level should. Early on in the first round, he got caught with a jab that knocked him off balance. But after that, he pretty much regrouped. You saw him using a lot of shoulder feints, which is good to see, something a little bit different in this fight game. Shoulder feints. Mixing in the uppercut a little more, which I thought was really, really good. And overall, man, just a dominant, destructive performance. I actually was saying to my boy Alex, who watched the fight with me, that Harvey Dock, I wasn't a huge fan of Harvey Dock as ref, but I'm actually glad they had Harvey Dock for this fight, because Harvey Dock, if there was any other ref, they probably wouldn't have stopped it as early. So I'm glad they got a guy who actually stops fights earlier than usual in Harvey Dock, because Shabranskyy, this is the kind of fight that if it goes 3, 4, 5, 6 rounds, we're talking about potentially another fighter in boxing getting murdered in the ring, because that's been happening a lot recently. Fighters been dying left and right. So Kovalev's now a world champion again. That didn't last long he didn't last long without a strap. He's got a strap again, albeit I think I'm not gonna really consider him a true world champion until he beats one of the top guys. But nonetheless, he's got a title back. He called out pretty much the whole division. The Bivol, Barrera, Beterbiev. To be quite honest with you guys, I think Kovalev is still, he's still Sergey Kovalev. So I still think he can beat everybody in the division. The only two guys I really think, I think they all give him trouble. I think Barrera could potentially beat him. I think Bivol could potentially beat him. But I'm not really I only watched enough on Bivol to have an honest opinion on him. So I think the only guy I would favor against Kovalev would probably be Beterbiev. I think Beterbiev could beat Kovalev, and I think Sullivan has a 20 to 30% chance of beating a Sergey Kovalev. But other than that, he's still one of the best fighters in the world. And I think the way the second Ward fight played out, like I said in the last video I did about Kovalev, the way it played out, regardless of what I think about it, the way it played out, and the car accident that he had not too long after that, it really put him in a space to kind of just reflect on what happened to him, and just be more honest with himself. And I think that's always good as a fighter. In any area of life, that's always good when you have to be more honest with yourself. So not really much to say about the Shabranskyy fight. As far as the Shabranskyy side of things, he's coming off of 2 devastating losses to top light heavyweights, one in Kovalev, one in Barrera. As far as where he goes from here, I think it's safe to say that for Shabranskyy, he's never going to be a top level light heavyweight unless the division really, really thins out and these guys start getting injured. But as far as guys he could beat at the top level, I just don't see it, man. The guy's too limited. He's a good fighter. Like, he can punch. He can make for some really entertaining, TV-friendly fights. But when it comes to fighting those multi-skilled, multi-dimensional fighters, you know, your Kovalev, your Vyacheslav, pretty much anybody in the top 5 or 6 of the division, I think he's always going to run into problems and lose all those fights. So for Shabranskyy, you know, they spent the whole year pretty much rebuilding him up, and he fights Kovalev in 2 rounds, just gets made easy work of. So you could say, you know, get him some tune-ups and pretty much just, like, you know, build him back up. But they did that already, and you see what happens. So I don't know, man. We'll see what happens with Shabranskyy. I really can't tell you where he goes from here. You know, I like to see maybe like if he's in it, as far as notable names, maybe a Paul Parker rematch, John Pascal fight if Pascal can win his next fight, or even if he loses his next fight, he can be like use Pascal as an opponent. You know, who knows, man? But that's pretty much it, man. That's my little review on the fight. Kovalev is a world champion again, but I'm not really gonna use that term. I use that term loosely with him because he should have been in the world title fight. But let me know what you guys think, man. Who do you want to see Kovalev fight? You know, as far as his next opponent, you know, unifying with Bivol or Beterbiev or whoever the case may be. Let me know who you want to see Kovalev fight, any unification fight. Let me know what you thought about the fight overall. Take the time to subscribe, follow, and you can follow True School Sports on Instagram at True School Sports. And like I always say in every video, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just kidding. So until next time, take care, guys.